Hi, I'm back. So the body butter is finished being made and I'm ready to put it in the jars. These jars I purchased from SKS Bottles and Packaging. These are the 8-ounce jars and I like them because previously I was using, the taller jars, but width-wise they were smaller. But what it came down to is when you want to get that last little bit at the bottom, it's hard to reach it. Now with the wider mouth jar, you can just simply scoop it out and don't worry about having to leave any behind because pretty much can get all the ingredients, even using your finger and digging in it. So that was one of the main reasons I switched over. The other main reason that I switched over is that SKS Bottle and Packaging offers these with a PS22 liner. So those, they're different liners to seal the container. So they have one that are heat, and there's another one that's pressure to seal. And I got the P22 liners because once you close the jar tight, you tighten the jar, it actually seals it. And when your customer gets the jar, they actually have to peel off the seal to open it. So I switched over around in the middle of COVID. And I basically wanted to make sure that anything that I send out, it won't pop, or, just to give that extra comfort that once the products are created, the jar is sealed, it's not being tampered with during the shipping process, or if they have to inspect the package, we know that if the jar is open, and sometimes pressure can cause it to open, or maybe there's a little bit oil on the cover, so it didn't seal correctly. But overall, the customer will know that they have a jar that was not tampered with. Now, it doesn't work 100% of the time because I've had jars that, I created, and as I open them, the seal comes off. But overall, if the top portion does not have oil on it and it's clean, it will seal correctly. And you will have to peel it off in order to access the product that's in there. So what I do to get it into the container, you must, by all accounts, have a piping bag. This is the easiest way to do it. So you can either use the piping bag itself, cut the tip, put the body butter in it and squeeze and add it. Or you can use the piping bag and you can use the tips for the body butter if you want to, put it in like a swirl pattern. I've seen other makers, they just use this portion and just squeeze it in there. I like using the little design most of the time. And, really doesn't matter. It's your preference. So I'm going to cut the tip. I actually got these piping bags from Amazon. And they're huge. I love them. You can get the tips. Basically, it's the same thing you use to put on icing. So you can get that piping bag and the tip set on Amazon. And I use this container right here is just my pouring containers that I use to make candles. So you can use the same thing. It's clean. I clean it and then I take the piping bag after I cut the tip. Oh, you guys can't see this in the camera. After I cut the tip, I put it in there, the metal portion in here, and I push it down all the way as far as this can go. All right. Okay, and I put it in the container. pull this back. Push this forward a little bit so you can see it. Forgot to adjust my table. So basically what I'm doing is, I'm going to push this forward. So all these jars are already cleaned and ready to go. So I put this in the container and I take my bag and I bend it over like this. And make sure it's open all the way. And then take my hand, spread out the inside. Makes it easier to pour. And this is the body butter I created. And if it's sitting a while, it might start to harden just a little bit. So I just mix it again just to soften it up. But this one is pretty, you know, good. It hasn't been sitting for too long. And then I just go ahead and I pour it in here. So the piping bag is the easiest way to go, because if you try to spoon it in with in the container with a regular spoon, you're going to run into a mess. A lot of times I can get everything in the first round, but there are times when I have to do like 2 rounds to get everything in. So try to make it. There we go. And squeeze it down. See how the body butter goes down to the tip? And then now you can basically start squeezing it in the container. So I'm holding it like that, just like putting on icing on a cake. And here I go. And I just roll it around in a circle. All right. Then I roll it around in a circle. Do the little one same way. Roll it around in a circle. And I try not to touch the tops, the tips at the top. All right. This is so much easier and cleaner. And you could get basically all corners of the body butter. And what I do at the end is I take the jar and I tap it. And what that does is get the body butter to settle at the bottom. That way I'm giving more body butter than air to the customer. And you see how fast this is to use a piping bag compared to trying to spoon it, and then you have stuff all over the place. And it makes a pretty design when the customer opens the container and they see the little design. Some have actually expressed that they like that. So I go with it. Alright, so we're going to fill up on the second round. Put it back in the container. Take the container. Second part is a little messy. And because you've already squeezed and made the mess, so I usually use the spoon for the second part to spread it open, because I don't want to stick my hand in the middle of that. I try to get every last drop. So this is going to be a short video because there isn't much to show. That's it. And I scrape it off like this. Try to get everything off the spoon that I can. And finish up the last set. So let me go ahead and tap the jar. And then you see how as you tap it, it settles to the bottom. So whatever else you can get in there, you can go ahead and put it in there. So it's less noisy to just tap it on your hand. And it still maintains the shape of the little pipette, if that's what you want to call it. And that way, my customers know they're getting a full jar. Because it's sitting at the bottom. Now, and also customers, you know, they have to keep in mind too that if this container, I had a customer that complained that when they got the container, it was half full. And you know, basically they felt cheated, but the order was shipped for 2-day shipping. That's at a minimum. Well, at a max. When it comes to like items like these, I only do like 2-day shipping on them. That's the only length of time that, you know, it will manage. And I put ice packs with it, and sometimes a temperature controlled wrapping or whatever it is. But in this situation, I think USPS might have misplaced a packet. Well, I don't know exactly what happened, but I know it was during the time I was getting notifications that there was some discrepancy with the shipment, and it was during the time USPS was renewing their contract with Shopify and the other shipping carriers that I use. And they basically were going back and forth as far as the contract. So it could have been during that time frame when things were on hold, and it basically sat for like 6 days. It took 6 days for the customer to get it. So by the time the customer got it, the butter was melted. So when the customer put it in the refrigerator, of course, it's not going to be the same amount it was before. It's not going to fill the jar, because remember, when you're whipping butter, the denseness, it makes it fluffy. So the volume increases per se, but once it melts, it's flat again. So even though it's the same amount of butter, it is now flatter because it's melted. So most customers don't understand that. And, you know, you'll get some angry customers saying they feel cheated, you know, that type of stuff. And you try to explain it to them and they don't want to hear it because in their mind, they didn't get the amount that they wanted or they thought it was. And then on top of that, I changed my jars a little bit. I haven't had a chance to update my pictures on my website. Even though they're getting the same amount, the jar is wider and it's a lower profile jar, so it's easier to travel with. But because it doesn't look exactly like the other jar, they're the same color, they're all clear, but the other jar is taller and slimmer. So anywho, I just went ahead and refunded because sometimes it's not worth the headache. But in essence, the customer's getting a better jar and they were getting the same amount. They just, you know, some customers are very visual and don't understand the concept. So that's it pretty much. You'll see basically what I did. And then now I could put the covers on. Okay? And I ship it out just like that. And you'll see the picture of what the label looks like when I create the label. All right. Thank you for watching. See you next time. You guys have a great evening or a great day. Bye.